Alright, should be going, testing everything out. Actually using a little bit of a different setup than what I'm normally using. Let me turn the display on. I'm still kind of poking everything. Give me just a second. Do I have the display? Okay, there it is. Alright. Looks like we've got about a 3-second delay on this, so it's about as fast as I can make it. Actually kind of set up on a remote PC and then kind of remoting into it using a company by the name of Shadow PC. Should be getting a link up for that here pretty soon, but just testing everything out. And I'm actually running a Windows 10. I'm using their highest package. Got a 2.8 gigahertz 32 core EPIC, AMD EPIC, 28 gigabits of RAM. And this will actually boost up to 3.7 gigahertz, so should not have an issue with system resources, especially with everything that I'm running. And as far as speed, ping, and all from this PC that I'm streaming from, any kind of video is not going to be a problem, and everything is going to respond to this PC almost instantaneously, even though it's in Sherwood, Oregon, quite a distance away from me. I'm actually over in Colorado, so let me change that, and I think I can probably minimize that. I've got a little chat window here. Go ahead and close that out, and I'm going to go ahead and start up NinjaTrader. We're going to talk about this strategy a little bit on my other channel, but it's basically going to be referred to as something as the half hedge, but I'll kind of show you what I'm looking at here. This is another idea that I'm waiting on. See if I can, oh, I know what happened. I have to modify my buttons. There we go. And that actually involves a little bit different. I'm using a USA regulated account, ONDA 1 to 50, so that's why you see 1001 and 1000. That's so I can get around that first in, first out rule when I'm using a unit account with that. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on that for now, as well as the GBP. Euro USD is the one that I've got one account, my personal account on. Not much with it. I'm going to add a little bit more to it, but for now it's just that. I just threw $50 in there. I'll just keep throwing a little bit at a time and adding more and adding more. The kind of purpose of this account, I'm just going to throw something into it and just build it up, see where I can get it by the end of summer. Maybe end of year, see where it goes. Just keep throwing 20, 30 bucks at a time in it, add another 0.01 or a few hundred units, and just keep building it up. Try to make a pretty large portfolio out of it. I'm not looking to scalp or anything. Everything's going to be long term. I'll get into trading costs in another video on the primary channel. So I really want to check out some NinjaTrader. I like NinjaTrader as far as the back testing goes, but I know my current potato that I'm operating this computer with it very well meets the requirements, but for some reason it is having quite a significant amount of issues. There we go. Let me get into the replay server, and that's what I'm looking for. And I got to make sure I stay inside the window. I don't like locking the cursor because sometimes I do have to go outside the window to get the refreshment back to it from my PC. Just a little issue that I deal with. Part of operating a potato. So even though it's only a couple years old, I ask quite a lot out of my software and hardware setups. So I tend to use them up in a way. I have no problem asking it to do 43 different things at one time and run around in circles doing it. So I'll have to try out some video editing on this and see exactly how fast we can make a 1-hour video, because this will probably be the best one to actually record and do the other channel with as well. So it seems to be quite a bit more responsive. As long as you basically have an internet connection, and they recommend about 15 megabits a second down. I've got that down, but I'm only averaging about 4 megabits up, and YouTube needs at least 7.5, even for a slightly delayed stream. So this is probably going to be the best option for me. I kind of like recording everything, so it's going to be mainly a journal. But, you know, if you guys want to join in and follow along and trade and chat it up, we can certainly do that as well. I'm going to be watching the chat on the screen, so that way I don't miss any messages. Let me kind of scale that down a little bit too. Keep an eye on everything. I have gone ahead and applied commission and margins, and if you've been following me from the previous channel, you will understand why I use such a small account balance when I'm playing around, testing around. The main reason I do that is because if I'm making any mistakes, if I'm doing anything that's wrong, it's going to show up extremely quickly. So I'm not going to sit here and keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and not realize it. I'll see it right away. So let me go ahead and get this set to an appropriate time. 8, 9, and then we'll kind of run through a little bit of strategy in a little bit, and then once the market opens, make sure we're good to go. Here, scroll back, and it's not exactly the most responsive with Bluetooth. I need to get a wired mouse. I'm going to be using a physical keyboard too, because I noticed there's a little bit of a lag delay if I'm Bluetoothing to my Potato and then sending it to this. So I'll have to try to grab my wired mouse and get my setup too, so I can run the recorder the right way, because if I hide that, then I can't see it at all in this program. So something to keep in mind if you use OBS. So basically the whole premise of the strategy that I'm running is just trade what you see, take a look at the overall market, and I kind of explained this a little bit in the other video. Basically, when you reduce time frame, all it's doing is sliding everything over and condensing it. It's like a summary of a book. And let me get a little bit more data in here. They're talking with support and trying to figure out what's going on with this. It may just be my other computer, more than likely. But I'm just kind of trying to preserve data, because I know NinjaTrader can actually, if you have resources, it can and will use them. So right now we look like we were in quite a bit of a wide range for a while, but now we're starting to move an uptrend. We've got, that's the wrong region. So many different things to set up. I even have my own little ritual that I go through when I get a new PC. I've already went through a bunch of settings. There are a few things I cannot change on here just due to simple Windows activation. But most things you can customize. You can change the background and things like that. So, but certain things like customizing taskbar icons and recycle bin, you won't be able to do. So if you're real finicky about that, that might bother you. I know I don't like having a lot of things on the desktop other than what I'm currently working with, because it'll slow things down, but I don't think that'll even be an issue here. So let me pull this stream up real quick on my phone, make sure that's coming through with a decent enough video, and go from there. Make sure sound's coming through. I did spend a minute going through the sound. Make sure sound's coming through. I did spend a minute going through this. Yep, it sure is working, so we're good to go there. And all right, let's go ahead and start playing around. So far, so smooth. Everything looked pretty good with the stream. It was loaded up in high def right away, so that's very nice. All right, so we've got the drawing tool set up, and I have each individual point as a line, trading on the Russell 2000 E-mini. So what we're looking at here, so that's 6.3 on that. And let's change that to currency. Apply that. So that would be $31. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 plus a little bit. So each line is $5 on this. And when I'm trading with a small account, something like this, even 150 is probably a little low. You may want at least about 300 to 400. Most people recommend 5 because you're gonna sometimes want to risk a little bit more. But with this strategy, I'm actually using some fairly tight stops. I know it kind of showed 1-to-1 with the video, and this is in ticks. There's actually 10 ticks per line. I'm gonna just move this down to about 60 or so because I know I have the margin set, so I need $50 of margin in the account in order to open a contract. And we're not going to worry about profit. I'm just going to, even 150 might be a little low. We could wind up running this down, but as far as the strategy goes, it does seem to preserve capital quite well. So let's go ahead and speed this up. I like working at about 3x, but for the sake of keeping everyone awake because it's so early in the morning, I'm going to slow this down at the open and then I'll speed it up. I'm going to work at about a little bit faster than what I like to work with. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to go ahead and buy that.
Order filled.
And click this around. I like watching my P&L. I'm a little odd, I know, but that's all right. So basically with that strategy I'm looking at, we have a level. One thing I do typically like to do though is once you start to see some momentum on that very first candle, oftentimes that's going to hint to the way it's going. I've found a few good trades that way. Plus we're already in an overall up movement. We had a strong push. We didn't really retrace much. This area here is the pre-market, so we could come down to about this level. If you have just standard trading hours, you're not going to see this extra information, and you'll actually probably see a little gap here. So we're starting to get that momentum push. I actually like that one, so I'll speed up just a little bit. We don't really have much of a target to go to, so when we look at that kind of thing and look at it from that kind of perspective, what we're doing is we're looking at an overall just pattern of the market. So one thing I'm looking at in this situation is going to be when price is moving, it's just going to go. But then when it's done moving, it's going to kind of fizzle out and slow down. And then usually when it slows down, it will come back a little bit. And then it will fizzle out and flatten out. And then it will take off again. Then once that move is done, it will kind of fizzle out, flatten out, come back down, fizzle out, flatten out, and go back up. And the market is doing that over and over and over and over again. So in this position, let's say it breaks out and continues and we start to get some consolidation, I'll take the trade off there, even though we don't really have a level. Now, if we do start to break below, on the other hand, I would lose that trade, of course, but then I would look to target the next level down. So I might look to actually target this little area here because it's a little price area where everything was kind of flat. We have a little bit of a kind of an agreed upon market value right there. And then as I talked about in the other video, yeah, I think I'm going to take
Order
that
filled.
off and just wait. We're starting to get a little pin bar and rejection back down. And in regards to candle colors, they're just all white. The different colors of up and down are more of, I'm going to go ahead and guess short.
Order filled.
Just sell the market and be good with that. So in this case, I would actually start to target somewhere around this area here. So speed this up just a little bit more. It's actually 15. I like to actually watch the 2, so Let's see what's actually happening here. So we know we have that level overall. Starting to push back out of that level, but we will see exactly what's happening here. I'm going to cover the high in this situation. Not happy about those positions of where are those at? Looks like I was probably right to begin with. And this should be pretty close. So we've already gone down about $43. So that's why you may want to have just a little bit more involved with your account, a little bit more on reserve. And yeah, I was right, so
reversing.
I'll reverse that. Even though you probably should not do that. I'm going to take this as a breakout. That is going to hold, and then I'm just going to hold it from there. Let's see if I can find this option here. There we go. That should be it. Yep. All right. Do not like a dirty clutter chart. Alright, things are starting to move back up, so we've already taken quite a quick drawdown. But just as quick as we lost it, we can gain it right back. And because of these higher point values, that's why it's usually advised to start with a little bit higher account. So if I was going to trade this with actual funds, I would probably myself start with about 300 to 400 in that account and then try to grow it from there. And this would restrict the maximum losses because it can quickly get out of hand, especially if you don't have enough discipline to really realize that you're not doing very well and end up blowing the account out before you can blink. The micros and the E-minis are some of the best because the point values are fairly low. Margins are usually fairly low. Average margin is usually around $50. And that is during New York session hours. So right now I would expect price to kind of come back and reject. We can see that it went up, made a level, come down, broke the high, come back. Now it's sitting on top of here. This little area here, it rejected out, and now it's starting to push back up. So I'm just going to hang on to it for a while and try to make back more than we lost, and that will be considered a great trade, and go from there. Have to start getting ready for the actual market. We've got open for the day in about an hour and a half. Now you could trade higher contracts, but notice how little the price moved and how quickly that balance can change in just a small area. So we're starting to kind of fade a little bit. I'll protect the lowest point that we have. Probably expect this little area to be a retest zone. So I'm going to hold through that and see if it'll clear up and push up above it even higher. We are currently on 5/6, so the 6th of this month, May. Alright, so we're getting a new break and a new low, so we'll kind of trail that stop up a little bit, see if it'll run higher. And for this, I have commission set at $1.49 round trip. Margins are set for day and intraday, so we're using just a $50 margin right now, but we're paying about 3 points per trade in order to just pay for and cover the trade. And there's that fade out.
Order filled.
Take that off. And I'll see if it comes back around this level here and touches off of here, and then I'll enter long again. See if we can get a little faster. So right now, just down about 26.22. We'll keep that number right there. Right, so there's that fade off. Now once it starts to fade back, or if it just starts to gain some heavy momentum, then that would be our place of entry. We don't want to just guess every time the price starts running up, because it'll get us at the top and then we'll start coming back down. So we're starting to break up and fade a little bit.
Order filled.
I'll go ahead and take that, because we're starting to push out with a little bit more momentum. I'll be looking to close it if it breaks below there, but I'm going to leave the stop a little bit lower, just in case it reaches below and then comes back up. Oftentimes it is good to actually wait when you see it push out like that. Something I'm trying to work on too. Is it a lot of times it will kind of retrace a little bit and then come back in. So we may have been wrong about that one, but I'm going to hold just a little bit longer. See if we don't get the push. So when we go into market today, I'm going to have to make sure I'm a little bit the trades, because in that first instance I was quite right, though entered a little bit higher up than I needed to be.
Stop filled.
So we are filled out, and then watch us get a reaction off of there.
Order
I'm
filled.
take that trade anyway, just because I said I would. So we've got a little bit of a zone that we can work with here. And then we've also got the key level as well. So this could be just potentially a strong pullback to push it up high. I'll hold on to this one a little bit. And if we're out of this trade, we would be out of our investment. So something to watch out for if you're trading small. Probably should have started with a little bit higher balance. More or less interested in just trying to get everything tested out, because if I can trade live and record, that's the ultimate goal of the whole setup. So keep some records. I haven't been recording lately. Most of my recordings have either caused issues with trying to trade or simply caused issues with saving the recording. So I've lost a few of them here lately. I've tried cleaning my computer up, but I don't think it's really helping any. So that's why I kind of opted to go this route. So far, I'm very pleased with what I'm finding. The internet speed is hands down way better than anything I could find in my local area or what I have. So, if you're trying to download big files or play games and things like that are rather large, you can have them loaded into the system within a couple of minutes. I actually downloaded and installed 2 games in like 3 minutes. For about 7 gigabytes total. So Very pleased with the speed. That's one key aspect when you're trying to get certain things done, like trade or just have a little fun. I need to get back into playing some games too. I haven't even actually played a video game in like 2 years. So, time to get back to it. Gotta unplug every now and then. See, I also kind of highly recommend, if you don't have much to start with, to actually try out that trading challenge. Top Step has actually extended their promo, so I'll make sure there's a link for that down below. And if you use the code TOPSTEPX at checkout, you can actually get a $50,000 account for 20 bucks, which is the one I'll be trading with once market opens up here in about an hour and 15. I might actually watch for a flip off of that. That could be potentially bad. It is pushing back up though again. So I'll see if it'll break out. If it does break out, then the losses should be well recovered. And just have to keep an eye on it. I know I've been noticing I'm going to have to kind of work with the longer periods of the day, so I may trade more than a couple hours at a time sometimes. Some days it will just make one single move, and then other days it will move quite a bit throughout the whole day. The main difference is the volume, though. About 9:30 or so New York time, the volume drastically dries up. So you can see a lot of twitchy moves that don't really necessarily mean a large order came in. I know some people like to use the level 2 data. I don't really put much faith in it because it doesn't tell you if that money's going in or coming out. It just told you basically a transaction of a massive size just took place. So fading
Order
out
filled.
again. I'm going to go ahead
Order
and sell
filled.
that off of this level here. We're pretty close to that. Cover the top and see if it'll come back down below to get back the rest of our money there. So it does look like this might be over of the move. I can't exactly remember what happened. I'm more trading what I'm seeing on the chart, more or less. Not really worried about too much of this number here. That's just chart decoration. I'm actually looking at what's happening in the market right now. So if it's turning and going down, I want to be short. If it's slowing or bouncing and rejecting back, I want to be long. And that's just kind of the whole premise of the thinking, and you just want to be at clear levels where price got restricted. So this would be considered a level. If price were to break back above, it might retest around here for a long entry. But you want to take these entries around key areas, because notice what actually happened here. That's a little level, little area there. Price broke down, it kind of tried to push back into it, and now that's showing as resistance to push the price back down. Same thing happened here below. We've got these areas here straight across. It touched it and rejected back, so now I would expect it to at least come back to there. We did kind of use this area a little bit, but it also comes off of this one. So these are things that I'm kind of looking at mid-market. I'll take that out of the way. Notice how we kind of have that same setup on a little bit smaller scale. So it broke down, pushed up, come back, tapped around in the wick area, and then started to push back up again. Some people are kind of looking at that, but I would expect this to kind of continue on down and protect your high at this point because we've started to move downward. So if this was going to continue down, this should stay as the highest point. Once we break down below, start getting down into this level here, getting around this zone, then we would protect this high here. Or we would close out of our trade if we just want to take it off. And getting through a portion of the day. So we should see rejection off of this little area here, because notice we rejected once. So that should hold. And looks like it might be pushing back up a little bit. I'm going to leave it on, see if we'll go down a little bit more. Starting to get good rejection. Kind of prefer to work the lower speeds, but that would take quite a bit of time. We've already gone through a significant portion of the day. Now we're starting to get to the end part of the day through this session on the 5th. Or 6th. I would probably expect that to go long, but I would think it might push down a little bit further. Don't think we're going to quite move back enough to regain the loss all the way. We may just have a small day here, because this will be 15, 20, even 25 here, so we'd have a ways to go to get that back. So that's one of the things I've got to work on in the open of the day. I may even try just waiting for the 3rd or 4th candle, because it does seem like even taking the 3rd or 4th candle would have been fairly decent. There's our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th and 5th. So probably avoid trading the first few minutes of the market. Might be a good idea, because that's where a majority of it went in this run. Be able to go back and play a replay as well, so I could probably verify that pretty easily by looking at that. Now we would have this level here. If it's going to hold, see if it'll reject down. We still got overall downward motion. And looks like we got involved with that level again. A little bit deeper that time. Missed the exit going too fast. Go a little faster. Go ahead and get the day finished up. Get ready for the real market. With some positions, it's just a good idea to hang on a while, but I don't think that one's going to do much.
Order
I'm
filled.
going to go ahead and wrap things up. Things seem to be running pretty smoothly, working smooth. So we're in that uptrend still, so I probably should have just stayed in that original one. Taken it off up here, waited for that to happen instead of trying to take the early one. Avoid the first few candles, and that did turn out to be a pretty key level. The next level down was here. We just kind of zoomed through it with the replay speed, so that's why I kind of advise trying to stay close to real speed, or 2 to 3, 4 times, because at this rate, every 4 seconds is 1 second in real time. So if you put it up to 10x, you're basically going to get 1 candle every 6 seconds. So I like to run about 1 second of real life time to about 3 to 4 seconds of replay time. That way it doesn't get going too fast, and then when you get these little wicks and things like that, you can click down a couple and kind of take advantage of it, get a new entry in, and go on. So practice is always different than the actual game or the actual event, or however. I've always kind of been that way anyway. So let's see what we do in the real market, and I'll catch you then. I'll schedule it up, and just be sure to click to get notified and join in if you like. I'll see you there.